Hi guys! So today's video is about our first appointment at the IVF clinic. So we had our appointment on the 26th of July in Halifax at the Yorkshire Fertility Clinic, and it was at 11 AM. We got there quite a bit early. I think we got there like 45 minutes early because we decided to go on the train, and yeah, it's just the times the trains were, so we got in really early. But we're really glad we got in early because out of all the information they gave us, I'll link to the last video about all of that if you're interested below. Out of all the information they gave us, they never said, and it's probably really silly, but they never said for my husband to bring his NHS number, and we didn't have that in our phones, and we didn't even think to bring it with us. I think because both of us were at my doctor's appointment where we both got referred, and even though our doctor referred both of us, when I filled in the information online it was only about me, so there was no information about my husband, so they had to ring up our doctors and get his NHS number that way. But my husband hasn't been to the doctor in like over a year or longer, so they really struggled to find him for some reason. But it eventually worked out. But I'm glad we got there early, because obviously when we got there he had to fill in some paperwork, they had to find his NHS number, and then I don't know if we got in on time or a little bit late, but I think we were in there for about an hour with the nurse, which was how it was expected to go. When we were waiting, when they were trying to find the number, we were geeked out and did some word searches on our phones, because there's not really much to do in there. It's just lots of other couples while we were in there, and nobody was really talking to each other or anything, so it's a bit weird. We were just giggling to each other and word searching it. So when we got an appointment with the nurse, we went through all of my history and his history, but obviously mine's so much bigger because of all my endometriosis and stuff, and going through the paperwork, there's a lot of stuff for you to sign, and there's not so much for you to read and stuff, but there's I think about 5 things you've got to sign, and you've got to double sign because you've got to sign, and then your husband's got to, or your partner's got to sign as well. And so the basic information was provided for us, and we had a couple of questions and they were answered really well. There was a point in the meeting where the nurse had to leave us and go and talk to the doctor, because our next steps aren't quite as cemented as other people's would be who are doing this process, because of my endometriosis, and then having getting sepsis and having endometriosis for such a long time as well. Technically from when I started being diagnosed from endometriosis, I've had endometriosis for 11 years, even though technically once you've had surgery you're in remission or whatever. It always can come back. Some of the ways to deal with endometriosis are going on the Depo-Provera injection, which is the injection pill, which is every 3 months in your butt cheek. You can do one of the 2 versions of the fake menopause, which is Zoladex or Prostrap, or you can try and get pregnant. Now I am on my 3rd fake menopause. I am on my 2nd version of doing Prostrap, and I had a couple of down months in between surgery and getting my Prostrap, and I did have a period and it was back to being awful again, and I don't really want to come off the Prostrap unless we really have to, and obviously part of the IVF treatment is doing part of the fake menopause anyway, so I don't want to come off it to have a period which is going to be agonising. Hey guys, sorry about that, I just had to reformat my memory card because it kept saying it was full when it wasn't. So where was I? Yeah, so I'm already on the menopause injection. I don't want to come off it because I get bad periods, to then go back on it, because it takes 4 to 8 weeks to come off the menopause injection for your cycle to kick back in. So there's a couple of options that we can take next, but they are going to get all my files from my endo doctor from Hull and review them all, and we'll have a chat about it next time we see them and decide which way we're going to go from there. And I think they're going to have a chat with my endo doctor as well and decide what would the next best course of action would be. The nurse went and chatted with the doctor, we discussed everything, we signed all the paperwork, we asked some questions, and then we got to sit down for a little bit and wait, and then we went straight into getting weighed and my height taken. And I'm really picky about my height because I'm really short. I'm 4'11½", and I'm like, the half is important, but most of the time they cancel out the half, so the nurse humoured me and said she'd include the half. But so basically I'm 4'11". And then after that we went in to the external exam, and that wasn't as unpleasant as I thought it was going to be, or as violating as I thought it could be, as it has been in the past. So that went as better than expected, to be honest. That part did. And there is still a cyst on my left ovary, which obviously being on the menopause injection has stopped that from growing. It's just a little bit under 3 centimetres, which was about the same size as it was when I had my last scan, or when they first found it in February. And after that we were given an appointment in 8 weeks. It's normally 6 weeks, but they wanted to get us in with the head of the Yorkshire Fertility Clinic doctor, and we try and do it at the end of the week when possible, so it makes it easier for my husband to get time off work because he works in retail, so it isn't easy to get time off during the week. And we also got well, at least it's a change for me not to get it, but we got my paperwork from my husband to get his sperm count checked, and we just took the paperwork with us and didn't really look it over, and we've got a specimen jar, and we got 2 options. You have to bring the sample in within an hour, or you can use a room in the area to give your sample in, to produce your sample. So we got home on the weekend and I looked over that paperwork, and actually we have to come in on this Friday for him to do his sperm count test. So we're trying to figure out what the best method for that would be, because it's a 30-minute journey from where we live to Halifax, and you've got to get the specimen there within an hour. So yeah. And then I got some paperwork to go get some bloods done to check for, I can't remember what you had to check for, but just to check for your bloods and stuff anyway. And as I said, our next appointment is in 8 weeks time. Well, it's probably like 7 weeks now, for our next step of where we're going from here. And basically that would all be about trying to, well, it would normally be about trying to find out if you're ovulating and if you're creating any little eggs and how many embryos you'd be creating and that sort of thing. But obviously I'm on the menopause, so there is nothing going on, and that's what showed up in the scan. And the scan that I had was like a baseline scan, so future reference they can refer to that and see what it's going to be like and stuff like that. So after that we spent, I think we got out, it wasn't a massive long wait in the blood test clinic because it was easy to do it in Halifax, and then go all the way to the Huddersfield and go to the Huddersfield hospital, because we don't live near the Huddersfield hospital, we live on the opposite side of Huddersfield from the hospital. So we went to the Halifax blood centre and it wasn't too bad a wait. And I think we basically spent about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours in the fertility clinic in total. The fact that we got there early, obviously, and then we were there for about an hour doing the whole chatting to the nurse, history, signing paperwork, asking questions, internal exam, set up for appointments for the next time, and that sort of thing. All in all, it went exactly as we expected, and for me personally it went better than I expected. I was expecting it to be a lot more hardcore, I suppose, in some aspects, especially with the internal exam, but I left feeling really happy and pleased with how it went. Obviously I might not feel that way after my next appointment. And then we went around Halifax for about another hour or two and just hung around Halifax and just had a little explore and talked about how we thought the appointment went. And I annoyed my husband because I did try and vlog some of it, but the fact was that there was so much going on and I'm not super comfortable vlogging in front of other people at the moment. So I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. Bye.